Chargers 29, Dolphins 27. On the Chargers side, despite reports, Chris, this was a bad week for running back clues early in the morning, and it was a great reminder of why we should mostly ignore this stuff. It was reported prior to the game that Hassan Haskins was going to be the lead ball carrier. Well, the team got into the game and decided, actually, this guy, Kimani Vidal, who's playing a lot better, is going to go ahead and be the leading man in the backfield. He had 22 opportunities. He had 75% of the running back touches and 67% of the snaps with 4 targets, and got to be the guy who thumped the hideous Miami Dolphins front seven.
Yeah, and that split was something that I guess we couldn't really project coming into this game. We didn't know how, and also the level of productivity because of the offensive line injuries that we knew the Chargers had sustained, like coming into this game. Even if we knew who was going to be the starter, how effective they would be behind that offensive line was we couldn't project any of that. And if anything, most folks would probably be pessimistic about them being productive at all. But now seeing how well like Vidal wound up playing, and it wasn't just that. It was also the fact that, I mean, Vidal, for as small as he is, stepping up in pass protection, there was one rep that he had in the third quarter where he steps up and gets bent over backwards by one of the Dolphins pass rushers. He gets his helmet taken off in the process. But it did allow enough time for Justin Herbert to hit Keenan Allen on an outbreaker down the right sideline. That's the type of stuff that I would assume that Harbaugh is going to be like, yeah, you're going to be our starter moving forward. That's the type of stuff that I want out of my running back. So kudos to them. And I know we'll talk about the passing game just in general for the Chargers, just seeing how well I think Herbert was able to operate it in this game. Again, knowing that they're going up against the Dolphins secondary, but still this backfield now, if you rolled the dice on trying to pick up like Vidal, I mean, you should be at least happy with what you have like for right now, but let's see if that split maintains once they come up into week 7.
Yeah, and again, this Dolphins defense is so bad, this might be a little bit of a mirage here for Kimani Vidal, but we'll do more analysis on that. The one thing that is important to note is that Amarian Hampton reports were this morning that he's probably going to miss more than the 4-week timeline. It sounded at first like, okay, feeling pretty optimistic he could be back right after the 4 weeks is over. Now maybe a little bit less so. So Vidal will have a longer runway here to show what he can do. Let's talk about that passing game, of course, which was without Quentin Johnston. So in that game, Ladd McConkey, best game of the season, 100 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets, 23% target share. So we can update the pen meter. We're feeling a little bit better about this Ladd McConkey situation right now. Second touchdown in as many weeks, had a baller play to set them up for the game-winning field goal. The guy that actually had the role change here was rookie Trey Harris, who stepped into Quentin Johnston's vacated X receiver spot and ran around an 85% of the dropbacks, which was the same as Ladd McConkey. So I'm curious your thoughts about Ladd after this game. Like, how is this encouraging to you from a Ladd McConkey standpoint, or is it just, well, Quentin Johnston's not out there, so the target's got to go somewhere?
I think it's a mix of both. And I actually wanted to ask you about it as well, because looking at, it's not just the opportunity, but we both know where Ladd McConkey typically winds up aligning pre-snap. I mean, 62.2% slot rate, and also knowing the Chargers, how banged up they are on their offensive line. My question to you is, do you think that just because of the series of circumstances that this is the skill set that Justin Herbert needs in order to really move the offense? I mean, over the past 3 weeks, his average depth of target has been 6.5 air yards, 3.8, and then 5.8 today against the Dolphins. If he's going to be trying to get the ball out relatively quick in the short area parts of the field, this would benefit a guy like McConkey who really stays in that short area part of the field. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't think this is more of a fluke type of thing. It's just more, and not just because Quentin Johnston's out, it's just about the entire environment of the offense right now versus anything else. But do you agree?
Yeah, nobody on this team over the last 2 weeks has an air yard per target higher than 8.5, which is that's Keandre Lambert-Smith, who of course is, like the 4th or 5th receiver on the team. Everybody else has been very constricted, including Ladd McConkey at 6.6 air yards per target. He was right around 7-ish in this game because they're trying, but with 6.6 yards after the catch per reception. Like, that's the difference here, is that Quentin Johnston can obviously run after the catch, but when he's not available, Ladd McConkey is easily their best yards after catch guy, somebody they can get the football to and make some plays, because that's what this passing game is going to have to be. I kind of go back and forth on, Chris, because I think Greg Roman has gotten a little bit too much crap for his passing game designs, but I think he designs a really good vertical and intermediate passing game. I don't love as much as the kind of like tempo, timing, quick hitting stuff in his passing game, which is going to be a little bit problematic behind this offensive line, which is how you end up barely beating the damn Miami Dolphins in this game.
Yeah, and that's where I do see there's probably ups and downs, I think, and especially once Quentin Johnson comes back, assuming he's back in week 7, we'll see like how that starts to shift, and if they do try and get like Quentin or like Johnston like more involved in the passing game. We have to assume so just because of how well he played. But next week when they play the Colts, you would have to think that this is something of a game where a guy like Ladd McConkey might be able to continue to roll from not just a volume, but also a yards after the catch type of perspective.
This quote from Jim Harbaugh that we're showing on YouTube right now is just absolutely insane. This is from at My Sports Update. Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh on the Justin Herbert to Ladd McConkey play that set up the game-winning field goal. Quote, "That play will be burning in my mind until they throw dirt over top of me." All right, Jim. I love Jim. I love Jim Harbaugh.
His quotes, they're just wonderful, man.
Well, I mean, his quotes are maybe only topped by his, facial expressions and just the general vibe that he's got. So, I mean, he's just a gift that keeps on giving. But yeah, I hope this play is burned in the mind of Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman and Justin Herbert so they keep getting the ball to Ladd McConkey, because that's the thing. Like, there's been nothing outside of a couple drops against the Giants. There's been nothing wrong with Ladd McConkey as the player. It just needs more opportunities. So yeah, like 7 to 9 targets. That's kind of what we're hoping for from him. I just wanted to quickly touch on Keenan Allen, though, who there was no change in Keenan Allen's role. He remained in the same kind of spot that he's been in. He's yet to crack 80% of the routes this season. In the last 3 games, 40.7 yards per game, 0 touchdowns on a 21% target share. So I am a little worried that we've already seen the best of Keenan Allen this year, Chris, which was to start the season, and now he's going to kind of fade a little bit to being just a bye week fill-in in fantasy. And there's probably like 1 play per week, Chris. This is a little more it's a little more qualitative, but there's like 1 or 2 plays per week where Justin Herbert throws a pass to Keenan Allen that 2022 Keenan Allen probably makes that play, but 2025 Keenan Allen is not necessarily that guy. I just it's like I think that this team needs to be QJ and Ladd focused, and Keenan's kind of a supporting actor.
No, 100%. And I think not just from the age standpoint, but also like we were both talking earlier, if this offense is going to need to probably lean on the passing game more than the running game in order to keep them moving down the field, those yards after the catch are going to be critical for them. And of the 3 wide receivers that they're going to be tossing out there, we would both agree that it's going to be QJ and Ladd that you would think are going to be the ones that are generating most of that. That's just not Keenan Allen's game anymore at this stage of his career. But can he mix in for enough targets to generate first downs, or if they get stuck in some of those long down and distance situations on third downs, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, can Herbert still hit him on an outbreaker that allows them to move the chains? Absolutely. So I think that type of role, kind of where he's at right now, I think will be perfect for him, where it's like he gets to play like you were just saying, he gets to play the backup supporting actor type of role, and then let QJ and Ladd be kind of the headliners here.
Yeah, Arondé Gadsden, the rookie tight end, has also been making some waves too, which I think is eating into some of Keenan's stuff in the underneath area as well. But still a really good player for the Chargers and useful for them. But I just wonder if those days of like big fantasy production is going to kind of be like a September thing and not an October, November thing. But still a very good player in his role. Real quick on the Dolphins here. From an on-field perspective, Devon Achane bounces back with some big runs to the outside. The Chargers have been kind of giving it up on the outside to running backs between Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt and Achane the last 2 weeks. Jalen Waddle continues to get the wide receiver 1 treatment by a lot in this passing game. But the thing I want to talk to you about, Chris, is this quote from Tua Tagovailoa, who told reporters, this is from Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network, told reporters that Dolphins players have been late and are skipping player-only meetings in recent weeks. Eye-opening examples of problems with the 1-5 Miami Dolphins. Tua begins his answers with, "It starts with leadership," which Tua has been getting buried on the internet because he is the team captain. And if it's players-only meetings and he's a team captain, is this one of those, the hot dog suit guy? Like, we're all wondering who's did this or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we? I just feel like we always have to update the collapse meter in terms of how close are we to the doomsday midnight scale with the Miami Dolphins this year.
Yeah, so what was it? A couple weeks ago, he's calling out Cam Newton, and then now he's calling out himself or maybe Mike McDaniel. I'm not sure. Which at this point, I almost have to assume, and we're not. I'm definitely not here trying to call for anybody's job, but you have to wonder how long McDaniel is for the role down there in Miami, and if an offensive coordinator position, maybe in the 2026 timeframe, is where we're going to see old Mike at some point here soon. But still, yeah, I'm with you, and I think we were talking earlier, at the start of the show about the volume is there for Jalen Waddle, but a couple of those passes they could have gone the other way, man. And while folks that wound up rostering him or starting him today, they'll probably look at the box score and say, all right, solid day. It's great. I mean, he's essentially their wide receiver one without Tyreek Hill in the lineup because of the injury. But man, with a couple of plays go the other way, you're probably looking at it like, well, I really wish I had gone somewhere else versus starting Jalen Waddle.
The best downfield connection in the NFL does it again. That is Sam Darnold to Jackson Smith-Njigba. Yes, if you just arrived here from some sort of time machine, you jump to the future. That is what's happening here in the year 2025. Sam Darnold to JSN is the best downfield connection in the NFL. He hit JSN, did Sam Darnold, on a beautiful 61-yard touchdown reception in the first quarter. He also did JSN have gains of 32, 20, and 18 yards in this game. JSN in week 6 had a 54% target share and a 53% air yard share, the 50 burger in both volume metrics. And on the year, Chris, he has a 48% share of the passing yards in Seattle. I mean, this guy, it's as balling as it gets at the wide receiver position for JSN.
Yeah, tweet from our buddy Rich Rebar. I think this was at the end of the first half. JSN came into today averaging 7.0 yards per route run on play action passes, and it's not going down. With the way that he's been playing so far. He was at 7.8 yards per route run by the end of the first half. I mean, which is just insane. And and the thing is, when I look at the box score and you look at how many yards that JSN produces, I would assume that this is going to be a huge passing day, or not from a drop back standpoint from Sam Darnold. No, just a nice tidy 27 attempts, 13.4 air yards per attempt, 31% play action rate. I mean, hats off to Clint Kubiak and the way that he's been able to dial up just the right level of passes and putting Sam Darnold in probably the best situation so that he's able to connect with JSN and really elevate him past what we thought of Jackson Smith-Njigba coming out of college and being a part of the Seahawks offense. I mean, just an excellent pairing from offensive coordinator to quarterback to wide receiver. It really is really fun to watch on a weekly basis.
Yeah, just elsewhere in Seattle here real quick. Run game goes nowhere. 13 touches for Charbonnet, 11 for Walker, both under 3.5 yards per carry. I don't know if you have any hot take on that. This is just what I assume this backfield's going to be. It's going to be a split.
Just annoying.
The one guy I want to call out here, yeah, it is annoying, but it is what it is. The other guy I want to call out here, though, is A.J. Barner, who's second on the team in receiving yards because he also had a 61-yard reception, so 71 yards on the day for him. But he's a legit option. He's played 79% of the team snaps this year, 65% route participation. Like, Chris, you could do worse at tight end than A.J. Barner, who's on the field essentially all the time for an offense that scores a lot of points.
Yeah, and what I was saying earlier about for Cincinnati with trying to maybe potentially pick up Noah Fant if Mike Gesicki's going to be out, I would say A.J. Barner would be just the tier above him in terms of guys that are you expecting them to fall into the end zone on a week in, week out basis? Probably not, but he is earning enough routes and earning enough targets such that if you are looking for a tight end that's on bye week or anything along those lines, like you were just saying, you could do worse than A.J. Barner.
You could definitely do worse. We asked the YouTube chat, is JSN wide receiver one rest of the season? Looks like 75% of people said yes. 25% of people said no, if I can see that correctly. Yes, that is correct. That's obviously, we got to talk about a big injury at the wide receiver one spot. We will get to that later in this show. Let's talk about the Jaguars here. Up and down game for this passing offense is saying it lightly. This was another frustrating Trevor Lawrence game. This was an up and down game for our guy, Brian Thomas Jr., who had 10 targets, 8 catches for 90 yards, and his first receiving touchdown of the season. Great. He also had another touchdown that was kind of deflected off a defender that he caught, went into the end zone with it, was called back due to Travis Hunter lining up offsides, pulling the Kadarius Toney. You never want to pull the Kadarius Toney. Then Brian Thomas Jr. on a third down had a really bad drop on an intermediate pass. You guessed it, folks, over the middle of the field. So some of these issues that are still haunting Brian Thomas, they're still present here.
Yeah, and tough day for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, 46% pressure rate, 7 sacks. I mean, Seattle was getting after it when a lot of folks were targeting Lawrence as a potential fringe top 12 quarterback for this week because of the number of injuries to Seattle's secondary. And with as much pressure he was getting on a down-to-down basis, he wasn't able to take advantage of the fact that they were missing multiple starters on the back end. So that's, I would say, still showed good rapport for Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, it looked like a couple of stop and go routes down the left sideline where he was able to pick up a few chunk gains, and similar concept it looked like on his the TD route that he ran to in order to get into the end zone. So that's the type of stuff that I want to continue to see. To your point, across the middle. Let's not do that. Let's. How about we have Travis Hunter do that type of stuff instead, right? I would prefer that. And actually, I wanted to ask you about Travis Hunter because, again, kind of a down day, high-end opportunities, right? 7 targets today, just 15 yards. But I wanted to ask you, is this more of we should be patient with how he's being used as of right now from a route deployment standpoint? And is this really just we need to practice some more patience just because with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, taking so many stacks and being pressured so often that his box score is more of a product of how poorly Trevor played or how much he had to at least fight off being under duress so often than anything else?
Yeah, it's just tough with just Trevor Lawrence once he gets under pressure. He's already kind of like a one read and kind of like that's it guy. And I like when he pulls the shoot and he scrambles, but with the pressure that he's been getting the last few weeks, it's been really problematic. But you mentioned Travis Hunter, like the opportunities, season high 88% route participation. So great news for those of you in route participation fantasy leagues. He crushed it for you today. But I would say he's just kind of a bench hold right now. Somebody, if you took him high in Dynasty, you've got to exercise some patience here because remember, this is a unique situation where they're trying to experience him with two sides of the ball here. But I do think at this point, like we've got to get him more involved because Brian Thomas, like, yeah, we can say, hey, just stop throwing him over the middle. Okay, well, if you stop throwing him over the middle, that's a pretty significant area you're downgrading your wide receiver one. So I mentioned this on Fantasy Football Live this morning. They're just juggling a lot in terms of what should be their 3 best passing players in Lawrence and Hunter and BTJ. So I'm still hoping that by November we're not really having this conversation, but I'm definitely a little. I don't love how it's going right now. That's certainly for sure.